Alrighty boyos, welcome back once again to another video. How you guys doing? Guys, today we're going to be talking about a very elusive character within the Save the World ecosystem, and his name is Raven. This is a character that hasn't really come out in a very long time, and a lot of people have been missing this character because, well, he is a mythic. A lot of people either want him for the team perk, want him for the commander perk, or just want him for the collection book. Raven is somebody that hasn't re-released in a very long time now, and now we are finally able to get our hands on him. And in today's video, I'm just going to be doing a little bit of a casual review on the guy, let you guys know exactly what's going on with him. If you guys do want to pick up Raven, you can actually get him right now from the item shop for 3,200 gold. This is how much every single mythic will cost. If you guys are curious what Raven does, he comes with the standard perk Bang and Pow, and this will increase your lefty and righty damage by 25%. And then the commander perk, which is by far more interesting, he increases your lefty and righty damage by 25%, and lefty and righty will also cause explosions, which are going to deal 20 base energy damage in a half tile radius. And this is something that's definitely kind of what separates Raven from the rest of the pack, especially with lefty and righty. Lefty and righty, in all honesty, is one of the worst abilities in the game. It's up there with Go and Constructor. It's pretty useless, but the main reason I am making this video is because I do want to try to keep this in mind for what's going to be coming in the future. For those of you guys that don't know what was mentioned in the roadmap, towards the bottom it had the gameplay adjustments, and towards the bottom of that it said hero ability damage be adjusted so that it scales as effectively as weapons currently do. And so, you know, as it stands right now, lefty and righty is pretty... it just kind of exists. If you see a hero with lefty and righty, you're just going to kind of avoid them for the most part. Raven, in my opinion, is probably the most interesting out of all of them. So yeah, you know, we're going to kind of try to keep that in mind a little bit in today's video. If you guys are curious, Raven is going to come with lefty and righty, Warcry, and Frag Grenade. So it's kind of like a double whammy here. Whenever it comes to soldiers, you want to make sure that they have Shockwave. And Raven doesn't have Shockwave, and whenever it comes to soldiers as well, you're normally trying to avoid lefty and righty, but he has that. But his commander perk kind of makes up for it a little bit. But it kind of does suck that Raven doesn't have Shockwave, because if he actually had Shockwave, I would use him in his current state. But I cannot stand not having a soldier with Shockwave. Whenever it comes to soldiers, they don't really have many mobility options. You know, you have an Outlander that can phase shift, you have a Constructor that can, you know, bull rush, and then you have ninjas that can jump away. Well, whenever it comes to a soldier, the only mobility that they really have is their Shockwave. They can slam down on some enemies and get away. But Raven and, you know, some other heroes kind of get caught out because they don't have Shockwave. So it's definitely something that is a little bit unfortunate. If you guys are curious what the loadout I'm going with Raven, I have Raven in the commander slot with the team perk being Preemptive Strike. No particular reason really. I just didn't want to use Totally Rockin' Out or Blast from the Past to take up my support team, because I wanted my support team to be very specific. So if we take a look at the support team, we have Where's Lefty from Double Agent Evelyn, and Double Agent Evelyn actually is one of the best heroes for lefty and righty ever. She's actually been kind of buffed a long time ago, and a lot of people haven't thought about this, but if you look at her commander perk, or, you know, just her regular perk, every pistol or SMG elimination will decrease the cooldown of lefty and righty, and for, you know, the regular perk, this would be by 1 second every kill. But keep that in mind, every pistol or SMG, meaning that Raven is the perfect type of hero to use lefty and righty alongside SMGs. You don't have to just use pistols like in the past. So now you're able to use stuff like the Hemlock, you're able to use stuff like the Silent Spectre, the Bobcat, and all this kind of stuff that previously weren't considered pistols slash SMGs, but now are SMGs. So this is really cool. I have personally chosen to use Raven a lot with the Silent Spectre, and I also use Jack's Revenge to kind of play on Preemptive Strike, because with Preemptive Strike you want a heavy hitting weapon to really take advantage of that. In the second slot we have Azalea Clark, and she will give us like 15.5% extra energy ability damage, and this will, you know, completely play into the lefty and righty, giving us energy damage. So, you know, a little bit extra at lefty and righty damage. Locked and Reloaded, because you reload so often with the Silent Spectre. Make It Count and Hip Shot, those are going to be your crit damage and your base damage with SMGs and with pistols. And then the gadgets, we have the Banner and the Slow Field. Doesn't really matter. But whenever I was making this loadout, I was actually very pleased to see Double Agent Evelyn, as I completely forgot that they transformed her into an SMG type of hero. So it actually is kind of a buff to Raven in an indirect way, in the sense that you're actually able to use some really good SMGs and then be able to lower the cooldown of your lefty and righty. So I'm going to go ahead and put a smasher test on the screen for you guys if any of you guys were curious. I'm using the exact same loadout, and you know, the damage whenever it comes to lefty and righty, especially on a smasher with this specific build, isn't really all that great. I'm doing a solo 124, and this kind of correlates to around a 140 smasher with a full team. So, you know, that's why I normally do my solo test on 124s, and you'll see that I pretty much only barely kill the smasher. Had he been elemental, you know, I don't even know if I would have killed him or not. But it's clear, it's very clear that you don't want to use, you know, lefty and righty on a single target. You want to be able to use it on tons of different groups. And so I have tons of different clips of that, of using lefty and righty in a 124 solo environment on a bunch of different groups, and to be fair, it's actually pretty decent. You will notice that the damage that you do to the Husky Husks and some of the Mist Monsters are kind of the blasters and the takers take a little bit more hits, and so do the Husky Husks, but like the basic Husk and the Husklings, they just get completely mowed down. So whenever the buff comes to lefty and righty, Raven will probably be pretty good in my opinion, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. But as it stands now, it's kind of useful, just nothing too crazy. You know, going back to the hero loadout a little bit, because I know that some people are going to mention this, a lot of people like to put Carbide into their loadouts whenever it comes to a lefty and righty build, because what Carbide does is his lefty and righty will allow you to apply affliction, and it'll do so ever much damage per second. And you know, I tested this, I did a little bit of a test, and the affliction ticks are practically non-existent on this build. Previously what I had is I had Azalea, Clark, you know, Evelyn, and then I had Carbide. So I kind of took Carbide out of that because he's practically worthless, and then put Locked and Reloaded. That way I get a little bit more, you know, damage in general, so that I can reduce my cooldown. Because Carbide, he just doesn't really belong in this loadout whatsoever. But whenever it comes to Raven, you know, in his current state, he is okay. He doesn't have Shockwave, and that's a really bad thing. Lefty and righty, in my opinion, is probably one of the better ones. It's pretty effective to use in groups, just not on single target. Whenever lefty and righty does get buffed, we should be seeing some really good damage coming out of the likes of Raven, as well as, you know, the rest of the heroes in the game. But I do feel like Raven is pretty decent. If you don't want to pick him up to use him as a commander, you know, you could definitely pick him up just for Preemptive Strike. It's a great team perk to have if you don't know what to put in that area, or if you missed out on some of the other team perks. I used to use Preemptive Strike all the time before totally rocking out Blast from the Past. So Preemptive Strike is actually pretty decent. I enjoy using it. It's pretty cool. But yeah, guys, I mean, that's pretty much it for the Raven review. I just kind of wanted to show you guys a little bit of how it works, you know, whenever you're using it in groups, and how it works on single target damage, the kind of loadout I'm using, and you know, the kind of weapons and all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty much it for my re-review, kind of recap on Raven, on whether or not, you know, you want to use him or want to pick him up. I definitely suggest that you do pick him up. I suggest people pick up everything from the shop, because whenever he does get a buff, he probably will be pretty freaking decent, but only time will tell. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. I meant to get this video out yesterday, and I do apologize for that. I was a little bit busy, but I hope you guys still did enjoy and have a little bit of interest in today's video. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. The next video I will be coming out with is probably going to be pertaining to the 11.20 update. I'm not exactly sure what kind of video I can make leading up to that, but very soon, within the next few days, we're getting weapon wraps and the Mythic Storm King and all that kind of stuff. So that'll be pretty interesting. Make sure you do subscribe and stick around for that. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next time.